What you say? You coming out with Rodney and me? We're going to Suitors, shoot some pool.
That's okay. I haven't planned on it.
Lenell, how can you stay in all the time?
Anthony, how can you go out all the time?
Later.
Now, you know that the vellum drawing won't be out of the vault till this afternoon, so you might like to make any revisions on the photocopy. If you have any trouble with that valve, give me a holler, right?
Right, but I'm fine, Charlie.
Hey, how you doing, my man?
Oh, say, come here a second, Rick. Take a look at this. I think they pay me too much.
Oh, did you forget about the raise, buddy? Now, that's the 6-month raise come through.
Oh, correct. So, that's what $24,000 a year looks like. After deductions.
Lenell, that is such good news. And I've got some for you, too. I went over to the Jerusalem United Methodist yesterday. Isn't that the church you really would like?
That's correct.
I was so afraid that Christmas would be taken, I almost couldn't bring myself to talk to the minister. But I did. And it's fine, Lenell.
Hey, great. Now, what's the good news about you flying out here again for a weekend?
Well, I've been thinking about it. And thinking's all I'm gonna do. You'll just have to wait for Christmas. Then we won't ever have to be separated again. Okay?
Okay. Sounds real good. That last part of me. The man that finds wisdom is happier than the rich man. Wisdom can be said to mean knowing right from wrong. It gives more than riches, a good life, honor, pleasure, peace.
Lenell Jeter?
Yes?
Police officers. We got a warrant for your arrest from the Bogan PD.
Up against the car. Spread them. Don't move.
Wait a minute. Wait, why am I arrested? What did I do wrong?
Yes?
Yeah, who am I speaking to, please?
Lieutenant Hutchison, what y'all want to know?
Lieutenant, we'd like to know what you're charging Mr. Jeter with.
Now, we're not charging him with anything.
Well, why'd you arrest him?
We picked him up on a warrant for the Bogan PD.
What are they charging him with?
Aggravated robbery.
What does that mean?
Used a gun.
Yeah, who's he supposed to have robbed and when and who says so?
Fast food place, Taco Bell, I believe. Now, look, that's all the information I got for you.
Thanks a lot. They claim that Lenell Jeter took a gun, went to Bogan, and held up a taco place.
I can't believe that.
Anthony, What kind of a place is this Bogan, anyhow?
Well, it's about 40 miles from here, towards Dallas. Well, it almost is Dallas, like a suburb, I guess.
Well, now, Dallas is civilization. I mean, won't the police double-check and find out Lenell is an innocent person who surely would never go around robbing?
It's just some dumb mistake somebody made. They're gonna straighten it out.
Well, that's what Lenell told his mother. He said, don't worry, I'm doing all right. So I'm not too upset, Anthony. And thank you for calling.
You take care now. Bye-bye.
Yeah? Who is it?
Anthony Williams? Jeter's roommate. Do we have the right Anthony Williams?
Yeah, you're right.
You're under arrest.
Sooner or later, you're gonna find that a mistake's been made. And why not try for sooner rather than later?
Sit down, please.
I can clarify the situation. Look, I am a graduate engineer employed at E-Systems. In the process of being cleared by the FBI to work on on classified government.
Let's talk about the work you did at the taco place.
I've got a good job. I earn good money. Why would I rob?
Sit down, please.
You don't concede the possibility of a mistake?
Jeter, if you don't admit you robbed that place, you know what's going to happen to you? We're going to charge you with the others.
Others? What?
All those other armed robberies we know you pulled.
Well, now I see 3 counts here. But the fish and chips, that's in Plano. That'll have to be filed in Collin County. Leaving 2 counts for Dallas County. Kentucky Fried Chicken and Balch Springs aggravated robbery. How do you plead?
Your Honor, my client wishes to enter a plea of not guilty.
And aggravated robbery of a Taco Bell in Bogan. How do you plead?
We plead not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, now in the matter of bail, I'll set $15,000 per count. Times 2, bail is set at $30,000.
Lenell, what this means to you is the bond on that bail will cost you $3,000 cash. Can you raise that amount?
$3,000? Can I raise $3,000? Is that all you want to know? Excuse me, but this whole experience is so unbelievable.
Hey, Lenell. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah. Doing all right, too. You got a lawyer? Yeah, I got one, too. How'd you get yours?
Rick McCants got him for me. Through his family, they knew this lawyer in Dallas.
Are you really gonna testify against me?
Who told you that?
Guys told me that. They said Jeter's talking against you. If he's gonna testify he saw you rob the 7-Eleven store, why don't you testify you saw him rob the Taco Bell?
Do you believe I would say such a thing about you?
I don't know. He might have said, well, I don't know. Anthony might have done it. I don't know.
All I ever said was that you went to South Carolina State with me. Like Rick and Rodney and the rest. I never spoke against you. I swear on the Bible.
Yeah, I may not be as strong in religion as you are, but I was raised in a holiness church, and I swear I never spoke against you.
Okay. Okay, that's good to hear. Now, don't worry, Anthony. In the first place, I promise you I will never speak against you.
Okay. I'll never speak against you neither.
In the second place, what we have here is like a temporary malfunction of the judicial system, which the checks and balances will correct.
Yeah, I know that. And you know that. My lawyer don't think so. He keeps asking me if I want to plead guilty.
Morning. Name's Siegel. Chad Siegel. I've been appointed your attorney.
Who appointed you?
I was the coordinator, the presiding judge of this court when they were notified that you and your retained attorney had parted company.
I didn't part company. My family did.
Same difference. Let's talk about making bail.
Well, I would think the first thing to talk about is whether I'm guilty or innocent.
Well, I'm going on the way you pleaded. You pleaded not guilty, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, your bail's been reduced to $20,000 for one offense, and your bond is $2,000. Can you make that?
Maybe.
Are you a married man?
Engaged to be married.
Parents living?
My mother, her name is Ella Mae Willis, and my stepfather, James Willis.
Where are they?
They live in South Carolina.
Well, maybe you better call them, see if y'all can't raise the money.
When is my trial?
Probably not for a long time, if you make bail. I've got some clients waiting over a year to go on trial. That's how backed up the system is, so let's get you out of here, okay?
Well, Mr. Siegel, I guess I don't understand something. What exactly is a court-appointed lawyer? I mean, in talking to people with more experience of being incarcerated than I have, they say you don't work for the defendant. You work for the other side.
Don't start listening to those jailhouse lawyers. You're all paranoid. Now, you asked for a court-appointed attorney, just signed an application saying that you couldn't afford to retain one privately, right?
That's correct.
All right, the court has engaged me to work for you. Now, you have my phone number. Call me at any time. Call me collect. I'll instruct my office to accept your call if I'm there. If you call and they don't accept the call, don't be offended. That just means I'm not there and I'm trying to save a little money, okay? You understand that, don't you? Let's keep in touch.
Harris, you know, I would just.
I know. It's my fault.
I'm telling you, Leland, we need the guy. I don't care. Subpoena him. Well, he'll be
Excuse me, hey, can I talk to you a second?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Take it easy.
Listen, your Orville Archer case finally made the calendar. Is the state okay?
Yeah, I don't think I have a conflict, but you sure you want to try the guy?
Not if you'll plead him.
Well, let's talk about reducing to misdemeanor assault.
There's 2 priors? You gotta be kidding.
Okay, let's talk about another case then. How about Lenell Jeter?
What about it?
Well, I just saw the guy, Andrew, and he doesn't look like a criminal to me. Doesn't talk like a criminal either.
He's putting on a good act, Ed, and you're falling for it.
Why do you say that?
Jeter's good for 30 cases.
30 cases? And out of the goodness of your heart, you're just charging him with 2, huh?
Well, we can only charge him with his crimes in Dallas County. I'm talking about 30 more he pulled in South Carolina.
How reliable is that information?
Got it from the police. They checked Bamberg County, South Carolina, where Jeter comes from. He's a prime suspect in at least 30 robberies back there.
Thank you, sir. All right, Paul, you take care now.
I keep asking myself, why did we have to pick Birchfield? You could have taken a job in Charleston, in Boston, in Ypsilanti, Michigan, for heaven's sake, and this never would have happened.
Marisa, it's just a case of mistaken identity that could happen anywhere to anybody. Now, how you doing? How's school?
School. I'm dropping out. I can't put my mind to the courses when I'm so worried.
Don't I keep telling you not to worry? Listen, I am sure my witnesses are credible and that they can create a reasonable doubt in the mind of the jury. I mean, I've been reading law books in here, and they can't find me guilty unless they have an abiding conviction to a moral certainty of the truth of the charge. You understand that, Marisa? Hold on a second. Maybe we better not talk on this phone anymore.
Why not?
They say the phone is tapped. I can hear it for myself. Can't you hear those clicks? Listen.
I don't hear any clicks.
Okay. Well, maybe it's all in my head. You get that way.
Lenell, should I come see you?
If I see you even for 5 minutes, then when you leave, I'm gonna miss you even worse than I do now.
Oh, Lenell, I miss you too. I miss you so much.
Thank you. How you doing, Lenell?
Doing fine.
Well, I think they'll go along with 20.
I don't understand that.
I think the prosecution will probably agree that you should not be sentenced to more than 20 years if you plead guilty.
How can this happen? I keep waiting to wake up. And the man who's supposed to get me out of this nightmare is telling me he thinks I'm guilty.
I didn't say I think you're guilty. I'm just telling you what your options are.
Well, how can you advise me to plead guilty? Plead guilty to a crime which I did not commit.
Just calm down. Look, I'm not advising you how to plead. You plead the way you want to plead.
Not guilty!
Okay. I hear you. What about that bail? You never got back to me on that.
The phone could be tapped.
We're not talking on the phone now, are we?
I've been warned that this room is bugged. Is it?
I don't know what it is or not, Lenell, but here's what I do know. This jail is very overcrowded. There's a lot of pressure on the DAs to move people out of here, either by plea bargaining or putting them on trial. And on the other hand, if you're out on bail, you're free to prepare your case. You're no problem to them. Now, can you make the $2,000 bond or not?
Let's say I might, if I wanted to.
Why the hell do you want to sit in jail when you don't have to?
Because I need to conserve my resources.
What does that mean?
I've been warned that if I get out on bail on one count, they'll just rearrest me on the other counts.
Yeah, jailhouse lawyers strike again, right? Now, look, I promise you that won't happen. I can go to a magistrate and cover that ground. Now, your friend Anthony Williams is getting out on bail, you know.
I know.
Well, why can't you do the same? You'd not only be free to assist in preparing your defense, but you could also be making some money. Hire a lawyer you like better, or a better lawyer. Same thing to your way of thinking, right?
Mr. Siegel, let me ask you, how can you bring yourself to defend a person you think is guilty?
95% of my clients are guilty. They still have to be defended. Now, what about bail?
I guess I need to give that more thought.
Hey, Ed, hold up a second. I need your signature here. Got a calendar change on the Jeter case. We're moving it up from Wednesday to Monday.
Wednesday to Monday of what week? Not this coming week.
Certainly this coming week. You know that. It's been on the calendar a good 2 weeks.
Hell, Andrew, I'm handling other cases. I'm overloaded.
Whatever you say, Ed, but if you're not prepared, it's not because you haven't had notice.
Why are you trying Jeter so fast? Why are you trying him at all? You've been telling me how guilty he is. Why don't you just wait for him to come around and plead?
He had his chance, and he didn't take it.
This is Thursday, Andrew. I mean, Wednesday's bad enough. Why move it up to Monday?
We disposed of another case. We got a hole in the schedule. Now we got a visiting judge from Texarkana.
What charge you trying him on? That taco place over in Bogan?
No, Ed. You got that with the original file number, 81566. This is the fried chicken place in Balch Springs.
Yeah. Damn nice of you to tell me. There you go. See you tomorrow.
All righty.
May I have your attention, please? Lenell's lawyer has an investigator down at security right now. They need witnesses who can testify that on August the 23rd, which was a Monday, Lenell was here at work and not in Balch Springs holding up a fried chicken place.
Well, let's get the hell down there.
Hello?
Hello, Ed? Andrew Winkler. Listen, I called some of your witnesses, and they do not confirm what Jeter says.
Do not, huh?
No, they clearly cannot place Jeter at work at the exact time of the robbery.
How many witnesses you talk to?
Well, I called 2 on your list, and neither one of them can give Jeter an alibi, so I see no reason to delay the trial.
Sign this before the jury's selected.
I want to talk to the judge.
I know, but sign this first. This only states that you've never been convicted of a felony. You're applying to the jury to grant you probation in case you're convicted here.
Looks to me like if I sign, I'm admitting I'm guilty.
No, you're not admitting anything.
Case number F82 81566PR, the state of Texas versus Lenell Jeter.
Your Honor, we've made a motion for continuance. There's a problem in communicating between Mr. Jeter and counsel. He's had one retained lawyer. I'm court appointed. Would you like to talk?
Okay. I'd like to bring to the court's attention that under the Eighth Amendment, Section 14, paragraph C, which states that if my rights have been violated, that I have a right to change of attorney.
There was a retained attorney?
For some reason, he was either discharged or withdrew, Your Honor.
Now, Jeter, what were the circumstances under which you discharged the first attorney?
Sir, my parents felt that since I never should have been incarcerated, he should have gotten me off right away, and they felt he should have sued for false arrest. I mean, possibly they don't know how the justice system works, but they felt that he was not doing an adequate job.
Well, now, are you telling the court at this time that you feel that the attorney the court appointed, likewise, is not doing a satisfactory job?
Well, with respect to the Eighth Amendment, Section 14, Paragraph C, I feel that...
Now, wait a minute. I just asked you a plain question.
Yes, sir. I feel that my defense has not been adequately prepared and that I've been misrepresented and, well, my lawyer is incompetent.
Well, it's a strange situation. You employ an attorney and then you fire him for, as you say, not properly representing you. Then the court appoints an attorney that the court felt, and justifiably so, I think, was fully and completely capable of representing you. And now we come up to the day of the trial and you say, no, I don't want him, I want someone else. Now that could be endless. We're going to proceed with this trial, and the court will determine whether or not you are properly represented. And I assure you, you will receive proper representation.
Your Honor, no personal feelings against Mr.
Siegel.
Mr. Siegel, he's a very good lawyer, but I was just wishing that you would grant me enough time to get Mr. Siegel an adequate list of witnesses.
If you have witnesses, you've had more than ample time to apprise your attorney of such. But even at this late date, if there are certain witnesses you wish brought in here, give the names of those witnesses to your attorney and he'll certainly have subpoenas issued for them. And if at all possible, we'll bring them into court.
Well, Your Honor, I'd like to explain to the court that I don't know whether there's anyone in particular he wants.
Well, the court well knows it's no fault of yours, but you have to have the names of those witnesses before the court would have a proper motion for continuance before it.
Well, I'm not 100% sure that the motion of the defendant is for any other reason than delay. I think it might be in his best interest to abandon any delay aspects and help me defend him, but I may be assuming something that's incorrect. Therefore, Your Honor, the defendant would respectfully re-urge his motion for continuance and ask for at least another week to prepare.
When were you appointed?
The 1st or 2nd of October.
That's more than 10 days.
Well, I realize that's more than the minimum required by the statutes, Your Honor, but
well, I'm not going to delay this any further. The defendant has had more than ample time to do the things he should have done. So if that's all we have, we'll start selection of the jury.
I'm a cook in Kentucky Fried Chicken, 12,000 Elam Road.
Now, Mr. Rivera, I want to turn your attention back to August 23. Tell the jury if there's something that happened on that day that's caused you to be here in court today.
We got held up.
Okay, would you look around the courtroom, and if you see the person that held you up, would you point him out for the jury?
That person over there.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
Now, Mr. Rivera, what do you recall about that holdup?
This person came in through the back door. He had a bag, like an athletic bag. He came up next to me, and he reached in his bag, and he pulled out a gun, a real big gun. And he said, "This is a robbery."
Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
Then he had us all go into the office. Laura, that's my wife, she was working the cash register. And Norman, the other cook. The maintenance man wasn't there yet.
Okay, are you talking about the office of Joanne King, the manager?
Yes, sir. And he said to her, Open the safe and give me all your money.
Okay. Now, Mr. Rivera, did you have occasion to view a photographic lineup shown to you by the Balk Springs police?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to ask you if you can identify State's Exhibit number 3 as the photograph you picked out of the photographic lineup a couple of days after this robbery.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rivera, when the police first interviewed you, how did you describe the hair of the man that stuck you up?
Long afro.
Long afro. You didn't tell him that he had a little short hairdo like this man over here.
No, sir. But he could have cut it.
How tall did you describe the robber as being?
6 something.
What kind of mustache did he have, if any?
Little one, but it was thick.
Tell me what kind of beard he had, if any?
He didn't have any beard.
Well, now, later on, when the cops showed you that photographic lineup, did those photographs help you to identify the defendant today here in court?
In a way.
So you're not really remembering him from the robbery as much as from the photographs, right?
No, sir.
Pass the witness.
Prosecution calls Laura Rivera.
The time when the man with the gun walked in was between 3:15 and 3:30.
Okay, now would you look around the courtroom, and if you see the man that was there with the gun, would you point him out?
That man sitting right there.
Thank you, Your Honor. No more questions.
Ms. Rivera, when you described the man with the gun to the police, how did you describe him? Did you say he had a mustache?
He had just a regular mustache and a little beard right here.
The man you saw had a beard?
Just a little one. Yes.
What about the mustache? Was it thick or thin?
It was, just medium.
But it wasn't a thick mustache.
No, it wasn't thick.
Tell me about his hair. Was it short or long?
Well, he had it in a short afro. I mean, a long afro. About an inch.
About an inch, okay. How tall did you describe the robber to the police?
I described him 5'6" or 5'7". But
Something you want to explain?
well, the floor is very unlevel there, and one part is high and one part is low. And from the higher part where I was standing, he was about 5'6" or 5'7".
In other words, since you now know the defendant is 6 feet tall, you figured out why he described the robber as being 5'7".
Oh, Your Honor, we're going to object to that.
Well, then I'll just pass the witness. You have an inch afro back in August?
No, I didn't.
Any kind of beard?
Never had one.
You weren't 5, 6, or 7 in August, were you?
Correct.
And if you see the person that held you up, would you point him out to the jury?
That man sitting over there.
Thank you.
Miss King, can you tell me about his beard? Or if he had any facial hairs?
Oh, I didn't look at anything except his eyes.
Oh, Well, can you tell us whether he's cross-eyed?
All I know is I remember the person what held me up, and it's this man over there.
Would you point him out for the jury?
Right over there.
Would you point him out for the jury?
In the T-shirt.
How's it going?
Well, I've been listening to those so-called eyewitnesses, and they're all over the place. They got him with different heights, different hairdos, different mustaches. They don't know who they're talking about.
Well, not Jeter, that's for sure. He was 50 miles away working with us at the time.
Y'all willing to testify to that under oath?
Yep, of course.
Well, let's get you in there and have you tell it to a jury. Do you know of your own personal knowledge that Mr. Jeter was there at E-Systems at that time?
Yes, sir, he was.
Tell us how you know that.
I had assigned a drawing revision to him earlier in the afternoon. He was completing it.
How long does such a job take?
I don't know, 2 or 3 hours.
Is it possible for this man to have faked you out, to slip away for 2 or 3 hours, long enough to drive the 50 miles to Balch Springs, rob that store between 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then drive back here in time to complete that drawing for you?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Thank you.
You don't believe so. But you don't know for sure whether he left or not, do you?
Well, for 2 or 3 hours, I know he didn't.
Ah, you do know that he was there for at least 2 or 3 hours that day. Is that what you're saying to the jury?
No. I'm saying he was there all day. All day.
But I was not there all day.
Why didn't you tell me that before?
Why didn't you ask me?
Mr. Ross, do you recall whether Mr. Jeter was at work?
Yes, sir, he was. That was the day before I went in for eye surgery, and I was put up to phone another person who'd had this surgery so he could kid me about the pain, and Lenell was among the people who got a big kick out of this.
Can you pinpoint the time?
I'd put it at 4 o'clock because it was shortly before I left for the day at 4:30.
Thank you.
Best you can recall, he was there at 4:30, right?
4 o'clock was the time I stated.
Well, I know what you stated. Are you sure?
Best I can recall.
Mr. McCants, do you remember whether Mr. Jeter was working at E-Systems that afternoon?
Yes, sir. He was.
And how do you recall that?
Well, we normally eat lunch together, but that day, Lenell had to go to the Birchfield downtown area at lunchtime. So later on a break, I stopped by his desk and spoke to him. Hey, what's happening, you know?
Mr. Hartford, you're sure that Lenell Jeter was there all day? That's what you testified to. All day, never left the place.
Look, I won't say he wasn't gone for 5 or 10 minutes, but you know, as far as being there what I considered all day, yes, he was there all day.
Yeah, but Richard McCants, who's Lenell Jeter's friend, McCants says that Jeter left the plant at lunchtime. Go to Birchfield. So he was told. But that had to take a whole lot more than 5 or 10 minutes, didn't it?
Let's look at the evidence. We brought you eyewitnesses to 3 armed robberies. They described the same robber. His behavior was cool. He carried an athletic bag. They all described the same big gun. They picked this defendant out of 3 photographic lineups. And when they came in here, not one of them said, "It looks like him." They all said, "That's him right there."
They don't have any evidence whatsoever. No fingerprints, no robbery money, no gun. And they didn't put the defendant in a live lineup. Here's the person that these engineers are vouching for. Are they in a mass conspiracy to cover up for some guy so he can go out and rob fried chicken stores? All the prosecution has is some people that they describe the gunman in all kinds of different ways. One of them says, "I'll never forget those eyes." That's baloney.
Somebody put a big gun to your face. Doesn't it comport with reality that you would never forget what they look like?
Madam Foreman, have you arrived at a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor, we have.
Give it to the bailiff, please. Will the defendant please rise? We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
How could they do that to you? How could they?
Well, they did it.
Didn't your lawyer put you on the witness stand?
Yes. And I told the jury I was never even in Balch Springs. I never heard of the place. I never saw those people before.
Oh, Lenell. Oh, dear Lord, Lenell.
9 engineers testified for me. And that jury didn't believe them either. They just believed the 5 eyewitnesses. Then it turned out to be 7 believed whatever they said against me.
Lenell, what are they going to do to you?
Okay, now, let's both of us just try to calm down because we don't know about that part. There's going to be another trial for the jury to decide on my punishment.
They have no right to punish you when you didn't do anything. Oh.
Well, people are waiting for this phone, so I better say goodbye. Are you okay, Marisa?
Yes. Of course I'm okay. And I love you. I love you, Lenell. Now, you call me when you can, okay? Bye. Mama, what am I gonna do? They said he's guilty.
Go easy, child. One step at a time. Did they pass sentence? Maybe it'll just be probation. A boy who's never done anything wrong in his life. You'll see. They'll just put him on probation.
May it please the court, I'd like to present an application for probation signed by the defendant, Lenell Jeter.
As I explained to your client at the outset, the application for probation had to be filed at that time.
Well, you recall, Your Honor, earlier I had a problem communicating with this defendant, whether it was my own doing or some racial situation or some kind of paranoia. I don't know, Judge, but he didn't trust me and was afraid to sign it earlier. Now, I would ask the court to consider all that and accept the application at this time.
The court has taken into consideration all the items mentioned by you, and it is still the opinion of the court that the application for probation should not be granted. Bring the jury back in.
Lieutenant Hutchinson, have you had conversations with the people in the community in which the defendant resides with respect to his reputation as being a peaceful and law-abiding citizen?
Yes, I have.
Would you tell the jury whether your opinion for his being a peaceful and law-abiding citizen is good or bad?
It's bad.
Lieutenant Hutchinson, did you ever talk to any of these people about the reputation of Mr. Jeter?
No, I have not.
You ever ascertain whether or not Mr. Jeter's been convicted of a felony?
Yes, I did. Found no record.
Did you talk to a sheriff in South Carolina with respect to his reputation for being a peaceful and law-abiding citizen?
Yes, I did.
Was that good or bad?
It was bad.
He told you about having 30 unsolved aggravated robberies up there in South Carolina, didn't he?
No, the sheriff didn't. That was a detective captain in Orange County, South Carolina.
Is there a college there?
South Carolina State University.
Are you trying to tell us that Jeter committed 30 robberies in Orange County, South Carolina, where he went to college?
Well, this detective captain told me they had 30 unsolved robberies.
Well, I guess they got 30 solved robberies now because Jeter's good for all of them, right?
He's not been identified yet.
Oh, he hadn't. Pass the witness.
Officer Matthews, would you tell the jury whether your opinion with respect to the defendant's reputation for being peaceful and law-abiding is good or bad?
It's one of bad.
Mr. Crom, you've heard what these police officers have been testifying to about Lenell Jeter. Is any of it conceivable to you?
Absolutely not. And I cannot believe it. It's just incomprehensible to me that these things could be said.
Tell the jury whether, in your opinion, his reputation as a peaceful, law-abiding citizen is good or bad.
Well, it's definitely good with all the people that I know.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, sir, have you heard that this defendant has been identified in a live lineup as a participant in a robbery with his roommate, Anthony Williams?
No.
Have you heard they hadn't had any more robberies of this type since he and Anthony Williams were arrested?
I heard that, but it isn't so.
Oh, you're a law enforcement officer and you know?
No, but I read the papers, and they're loaded with crime stories, including robberies, every day.
These people that were called by the defendant, what they said was, y'all are wrong, all 12 of you. Y'all are stupid. But you heard the testimony. Those people did not. But I say, this guy is dangerous. And I ask that you assess a sentence of life.
The range of punishment in this case is from 5 years to life. When you consider an appropriate punishment, consider how horrible this crime was, or was not, and consider that this defendant was never before convicted of any crime. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is not a life case.
It took this man a long time to get the way that he is. It's going to take the Texas Department of Corrections a long time to make him better, if they can. I think the only appropriate sentence would be life.
Madam Foreman, have you arrived at a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor, we have.
Give it to the bailiff, please. We, the jury, having heretofore found the defendant guilty of aggravated robbery, assess his punishment at life confinement. All right, stand up, Jeter. It is now the order of this court that you, Lenell Jeter, are to be transported to the Texas Department of Corrections, delivered thereto, and incarcerated therein for your natural life.
Screwed up. Should have faked a heart attack, fainted flat on the floor, anything to get a continuance. At least I could have gone over y'all's testimony, prepare you for the cross-examination of the DA so you don't look like liars and fools. Damn. First mistake I made was believing the DA's bills about those 30 robberies. I thought Lenell might be guilty. And then the communication problem between Lenell and me got in the way of my jury selection, and I picked a poor one, but I never dreamed they'd sentence him to life.
Well, what I couldn't believe was hearing those DAs ask for life sentence. They went after Lenell like a pack of wolves. Aren't they supposed to care about justice being done? Not only putting somebody in prison.
Well, this is just one round we've lost, but I'm staying with this till I get Lenell home free.
Keep your butt moving, college boy. This ain't no fish fry moving. Work like you live soft. Well, you ain't got no one soft life. Whoa. Hey. Oh. Get up.
Bug off, Tubby. That's all you bugging, my friend.
How come he's your friend?
Mr. Lenell Jeter's gonna learn me how to play chess.
Say what?
Okay, that comes later. But first he's gonna learn me to read and write.
What are y'all looking at? Get back to work.
Hello, Mr. Hartford? This is Marisa Hickson. How you doing? Okay, now what you asked us to find out about that sheriff, you know? Looks like we've got the answer.
Well, I asked the family to check into this testimony about the county sheriff telling Lieutenant Hutchinson that Lenell is a bad character. And they took it up with this mayor. He called a local lawyer who knows the sheriff. What's his name?
Dean. Howard Dean.
Right. Well, Sheriff Dean told the lawyer that he, Dean, never told Hutchinson any such thing.
Did the cop commit perjury?
Be it remembered that on the 15th day of November, A.D. 1982, this motion for new trial came on for hearing before the Honorable Judge Brian Shaflin.
Sheriff Dean, when you talked to Lieutenant Hutchinson, you recall what he said?
He asked me for a record check on one Lenell Jeter. I pulled the files down, and I had no record on Lenell Jeter.
You recall anything else?
Just a general conversation about armed robbery. I'd made the comment that there had been some 30-odd unsolved armed robberies in our adjoining county, which is Orange County.
Did you, in any way, shape, or form, mention Jeter's name in connection with anything that happened over in that county?
No, sir. In fact, I checked later on and found out Mr. Jeter had no record there either.
Did you tell Hutchinson that Jeter had a bad reputation?
No, sir.
Is there any way you could have told him anything similar to that?
Well, I think where that came from was that I related a story to Lieutenant Hutchinson in reference to a man named Clay Lamar that had been arrested in New York for shooting and killing a police there.
The man's name was Clay what?
Lamar. He had relatives in Bamberg County. And a detective had come down from New York to pick up some telephone bills that showed that some phone calls had been made from New York to a residence in Denmark, South Carolina, which was Jeter's residence. I made a statement at that point that this individual was a bad individual or a bad dude.
Who you were talking about when you said he was a bad character?
Clay Lamar. Not Mr. Jeter himself, no, sir.
So when Lieutenant Hutchinson was telling the court in Dallas that you gave him information that Jeter was a bad character, he was either lying or mistaken, right?
One of the two.
Thank you.
My name is Martin Nash. I'm the assistant district attorney that gave that man there life. I want to direct your attention to page 6 of the trial transcript. Take a moment and look at it. The officer never said you were the sheriff that said anything about 30 unsolved robberies. He never said that you said Jeter was a robber, a murderer, or a rapist, did he?
That is right.
All he said you said was that Jeter had a bad character.
And I didn't say that.
So basically what you're telling us is the only thing that you would disagree with is that statement where it says Jeter is a bad character.
Right.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Hutchinson, you testified in the trial, did you not, that someone in South Carolina told you that Jeter was a bad guy?
That's correct.
Who told you Jeter was a bad guy?
I believe that was Howard Dean.
Tell me what Dean told you.
Well, he advised me that if the man's name was Jeter and he was from Denmark, South Carolina, he's probably an outlaw.
Lieutenant Hutchinson, if you excluded the conversation with Howard Dean from your opinion about Lenell Jeter and just consider things that other people have told you, would your opinion of his reputation for being peaceful and law-abiding be good or bad?
It'd be bad.
Judge, it's just one man's word against another. Howard Dean remembers it one way, Andy Hutchinson remembers it another.
The testimony Lieutenant Hutchinson gave has got to be a lie or he's mistaken. Now, I'm not saying which it is, but we have the sheriff up here telling us, I didn't say that.
But Lieutenant Hutchinson said he did tell him that.
Well, that's what I mean, Judge. A jury's entitled to hear that new evidence.
Are you finished?
Yes?
Motion for new trial is overruled.
This was worth the try and would have sprung you a lot faster than an appeal. But the appeal is going to be a whole different story, so don't lose hope.
Okay, I definitely will not lose hope, Mr. Siegel. The reason is that I put my hope in God. My faith is in God, not in man. Not in any man, Mr. Siegel.
Even in prison, I can find joy. 5th Galatians 22nd. Among the fruits of the Holy Spirit is joy, not happiness. I don't have happiness. For me, happiness means having my loved ones with me. There is just no way in the world I could be happy without you. But I can find joy in little things like teaching Bible studies to the inmates, or giving a simple math lesson, or writing a letter for somebody who can't write.
That's a fine boy. So fine.
Well, the rest is kind of personal. Oh, except Lenell says he thanks me for writing to the NAACP and asking for a lawyer. But not to expect much, because they must get letters like that by the thousands.
Well, let's talk about your future.
I've already decided to go back to school.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, but that's not what I'm talking about. Wrong is wrong. But Lenell's in prison for life.
Not his whole life. It can't be more than 20 years.
Okay, after paying for the bumper stickers, the fund has $2,940.
Thank you. Now, Larry Jones, I believe, has something for us.
Yes, I spoke with Dean Butler, South Carolina State again. He says he may have the NAACP national interested in this case. They're sending a lawyer down here from New York. Man's name is George Hairston, so we'll need to get Lenell to put him on the prison visitor list.
I'll take care of that.
Here we go, gentlemen. 1,000 bumper stickers. Oh, correction, 999.
Yeah.
My wife couldn't wait to put one on her car.
All right.
Hey, can't you look where in the flaming Hades you're going?
Oh, Mother. Oh, I know. Oh, Mother, a cop is coming. He's gonna see your bumper sticker. He is, isn't he? I'll visit you in jail, Mother.
See your driver's license, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Crom,
Yes, sir.
I liked your bumper sticker.
You do?
Yes, ma'am. I sure do. How about we call this a no-fault accident?
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Corrections Officer Bartlett, report to East Wing Security Station. Corrections Officer Bartlett, East Wing Security Station.
That will be settled until day. How you doing, my friend?
Well, I'm not saying you brought this all on yourself, but you didn't do much to help yourself out either.
Mr. Hairston, I did what I could.
What you should have done was fight like hell to get out of here, not depend on the system to set you free.
Okay, my situation was that my family background includes law enforcement and public officials. Consequently, I respected the justice system.
Number one, you should have made bail. Look at Anthony Williams. He's been free, working all this time. And he's not even due to go to trial for months.
Well, correct. That was probably a mistake on my part.
2, you should have cooperated with your lawyer.
Which lawyer?
Any lawyer, whether you liked him or not. You would have done a lot better than trying to take over your own defense.
As I say, I made mistakes. Possibly I was even paranoid, but I would definitely cooperate with the NAACP.
Well, let's just check that out. Mr. Siegel has put together a group of lawyers to work on your appeal, white lawyers. Now, if I decide to keep them, will you go along?
Do you want to keep them?
It's necessary for some member of the Texas bar to sponsor me here. And with a white jury, a lot of white faces at the defense table can't hurt.
Yeah, but does one of those faces have to be Siegel's? I mean, he put me in here, didn't he?
I haven't decided yet. What I'm telling you is it's got to be my decision, not yours.
Well, if you're willing to be my lawyer, Mr. Hairston, then you're in charge.
Howdy, Ben. Mike Hockley.
How you doing, Mike?
Mitch Richter. Lee Bowers from South Carolina. He helped us out on that Sheriff Dean matter. George Hairston, folks.
Well, gentlemen, it's good to meet you. I'm not going to tell you that the NAACP can bring any more talent to bear than already exists in this room, but what we can do is to get some media coverage.
I hope you're not saying we should try this case in the press.
No, I'm simply saying that since Texas law is slanted pro-enforcement, that we need some public opinion on the defense side. If through the media we can stir up some public scrutiny, some public outrage, or maybe the governor of Texas might be convinced that the Jeter case is a miscarriage of justice.
I would think the governor of South Carolina could become interested too.
Exactly. And with the right people talking to him, maybe the district attorney will grant Jeter a new trial.
Well, in my opinion, the way to get Jeter a new trial is through the Court of Appeals.
An appeal will take years. How much longer does an innocent man have to stay locked up?
Mr. Hairston, you don't understand the criminal justice system here.
Oh? Well, please tell me what I need to know about it.
Henry Wade, that's all. You see, Henry Wade is the district attorney of Dallas County, and he has been for 30 years. And he survived a lot of governors. This is his county till he dies. You can't budge Henry Wade with media pressure, especially since, as you may know, Jeter took the lie detector test and failed it. You can only make Dallas County look bad. I think your approach is wrong.
Well, I think y'all are wrong, gentlemen. Remember the story about the Wonder Horse who'd do whatever you told him to do, only first you had to whang him on the head with a 4x4 just to get his attention? I think Mr. Harrison's got the right idea. I think we ought to use the media to put the pressure on the DAs.
Well, my strategy is to treat your case and the Jeter case as the same case. While we're defending you, we defend Lenell, and I think I can get Siegel and his group to agree.
What can he do that you can't?
Talk to the media. Oh, I can talk all right, but how do I carry it off with 3 strikes on me? Number 1, black. 2, NAACP. 3, New York. Siegel is Texas, born and raised. He's a perfect spokesman for us.
But will he do it?
Anthony, haven't you heard? All lawyers are hams. He's gonna love it.
This is Lenell Jeter's attorney, Ed Siegel of Dallas.
Witnesses were sure in the courtroom, and then upon cross-examination they'd be unsure, and then later on they'd be sure again. Prosecutors have not interviewed 2 new witnesses that can prove that Mr. Jeter was at work when the robbery was committed. And one of them's named Dan Walker. He's a senior engineer. At the time of the trial, he had just returned from a business trip to Korea. And we weren't aware of what he could testify to, but it turns out that Mr. Jeter was asking to use his phone just about when the robbery was committed. The other witness is Deborah Cotton. She wasn't at the trial because we didn't know her testimony was needed. But she spoke to Mr. Jeter at E-Systems within 20 minutes of when the robbery was committed, asking him if he'd like to take part in a Bible study group or a co-ed softball game. The DAs didn't talk to them.
Do you consider this a matter of racism?
Well, I think initially it was. I don't think this would have happened to him if he was white. But now it's just a case of bureaucratic intransigence.
Lieutenant Hutchinson, you testified at Lenell Jeter's trial that you were led to him by a confidential informant?
That's correct.
What are some of the details?
Well, while investigating a similar robbery at another chicken place, I requested the Birchfield Sentinel to run a notice asking the public for leads. I then received a call from an individual who reported seeing a black male with a brown Volkswagen. Now, the caller was suspicious and took down the license number.
What did you do then?
I just traced that license plate number to Lenell Jeter. I then notified other police agencies in nearby areas where other fast food places were being hit that Lenell Jeter was a suspect.
Who was this informant?
Well, now, I can't disclose that. The informant is in fear of his or her life.
The informant in fear of his or her life turns out to be a lady named Mrs. West, age 68. We did a little interview. That's the report.
How did you find her?
Well, we made a motion before Judge Ferdinand for disclosure of the informant's identity, and he granted it. She lives directly across the street from a park where Lenell used to go on weekends to feed the ducks.
Mrs. West is going to make a fascinating witness at the Williams trial.
Ms. West, I hate to ask you this, but how old a lady are you, ma'am?
Well, I'm 68.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, in this city park, which is directly across the street from your house, did anything happen in August of 1982 that called your attention to anything?
There was a car parked there. And there was a colored man which got out and sat on a bench near the water.
Anything else?
Well, he had a little satchel with him. This, little satchel.
Mm-hmm.
I was nervous and I kept a watch on him. Now, the first time I seen him, I didn't take down his license tag number. But the second time, then I took it down.
Mm-hmm. But why were you nervous, ma'am?
I just couldn't help it. I just get nervous from being afraid.
Did you have any reason to be afraid of him?
No, He didn't do a thing. It's just he's there so much. Most every morning. Sometimes in the afternoon.
Did you ever talk to this man?
No. But one time he drove up on a Sunday, and he asked my husband for permission to park on our side of the street, which my husband said it was okay.
Why did you get in touch with Lieutenant Hutchinson?
Well, we heard on the news that this colored man held up the fried chicken in Birchfield, and they said he took a pistol out of a satchel. Well, that made me think. Well, the one I saw in the park, he was carrying a satchel, too. So, I said to the policeman, I think it should be checked out.
Did you tell Hutchinson anything else?
No, sir.
Do you think you could describe that man?
No, I wasn't close enough to see really what he looked like.
So, in other words, the only thing you saw in common with the robbery was a little bag. And you didn't tell Hutchinson anything else, right?
No, sir. I just gave him that because I done heard that on the radio about the holdup.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Now, Miss Travis, on the night of August 22nd, did anything unusual happen at the 7-Eleven store?
Yes, ma'am. A guy came in with a gun, told me to get the money out of the register.
Miss Travis, I want you to look around the courtroom and tell me if you see the person who robbed you.
Yes, ma'am, I do. The defendant.
Miss Travis, 2 or 3 days after the robbery, did a Detective Matthews show you a set of photographs and ask you if you recognized anyone?
Yes, sir. And I told him that number 5 looked like the guy, but I did not want to swear until I saw him in person.
And then a day or two later, did another detective show you another set of photographs, and you still did not make a positive identification of the defendant?
Correct.
So you weren't sure on the first occasion, and you weren't sure on the second occasion. But after seeing his picture twice within 5 days, then you could recognize the defendant in a live lineup, couldn't you?
Yes, sir. And I also identified his accomplice in that lineup, the guy who checked out the store for him, Lenell Jeter.
And since 1969, I've been professor of psychology at Florida State University.
Dr. Brigham, did you ever make a study of eyewitness identification?
I've made 15 studies.
Get any statistical results?
We estimate that eyewitnesses will correctly pick a perpetrator out of a lineup, perhaps 50% of the time, or less.
In other words, no better than 50-50 accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do your studies show that it's more difficult for a white person to identify a black person than to identify a white person?
Yes. We call it own race bias. The old stereotype. They all look alike to me. That holds true for most white people as well as most black people.
Well, Dr. Brigham, do other experts in the field tend to agree or disagree with your conclusions?
Well, Judge Nathan Sobel of the New York Criminal Court sums it up for most of us in his book, Eyewitness Identification. He says incorrect eyewitness identifications have accounted for more miscarriages of justice than all other judicial errors combined.
Have you arrived at a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor, we have.
Please hand it to the bailiff. Will the defendant please rise? We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
They're both innocent young guys. Absolutely innocent. Why should Lenell Jeter be in jail?
Lenell Jeter is in jail, no question about that. The question is, what put him there?
We have people who do rob for fun, and Lenell Jeter, I think, is one of them.
There wasn't one person I talked with that could provide Lenell Jeter with an alibi.
Deborah Cotton?
Deborah Cotton sat in the courthouse hallway throughout the trial. I never talked to her, but she had an opportunity to get on the witness stand, just like any other witness, and tell what she knew. If she could have provided him with an alibi, I see no reasonable explanation for her not doing exactly that. And she didn't.
And when you say Deborah Cotton was out there, she wasn't out there at all.
There was a lady from E-Systems, I was told.
Black or white?
Black, that was sitting out in the hallway.
But Deborah Cotton is white.
Well, then obviously I am relying on what Mr. Siegel told me.
We had the evidence of Jeter's car. He drove a brown Volkswagen. One of our witnesses saw a brown car outside the chicken place at the time of the robbery.
But no one saw the robber get in or out of that car, let alone saw Jeter. You had no physical evidence at all. And yet you didn't send anyone out to E-Systems to investigate.
That's simply not true. We sent Jerry Howard, our investigator, out there.
When I went out to E-Systems, the individuals that worked or had testimony in this case were down at the courthouse.
You mean you didn't go out there in advance of the trial?
No.
I've received no justice at all. I haven't received anything close to justice.
Meanwhile, Lenell Jeter remains in prison, possibly for life.
Morning.
Wade, how are you?
Morning, sir.
Yeah, be seated. I expect you'll be surprised at the reason I've asked you to come over. I don't know of any other suspect we've had that had network television spend 30 minutes trying to prove him innocent. My own son-in-law asked me how I could convict a man who had 3 people say it was at work. I've talked to a lot of solid citizens who don't believe he got a fair trial. And I would rather free a guilty man than have the public lose confidence in our criminal justice system. So, I will join you gentlemen of the defense in asking the presiding judge to overturn Jeter's conviction. As you suggested, if he takes a lie detector test and passes it, I will agree to dismiss. He's also charged in the Bogan Taco Bell robbery. So if he passes the test for Bosch Springs, we'll give him another test for Bogan.
Well, we appreciate that, Mr. Wade. Now, I assume that when the judge signs that order that you'll agree to let Jeter out on bail?
But if he balks at taking the test, or if he takes the test and fails it, then we will put him on trial again. I still believe the evidence indicates he's guilty.
I can't help thinking we should have been married a year ago.
You won't be going back to E-Systems till after the holidays, so I'm sure the pastor will marry us this Christmas.
That's a thought. I wonder if there's time.
For what?
For me to take that lie detector test and pass it, be free for Christmas.
Are you going to take it again? After you failed it before?
Well, maybe I was, I don't know, too nervous or something before. But if that machine can really tell the truth from a lie, I know I'm telling the truth. Why must I be afraid to try again?
But you haven't made the decision yet, right? Right.
What's this?
Lenell, an instructor gave me this book.
It's by a man, Dr. Lycan, who teaches at the University of Minnesota Medical School. I read it cover to cover. I want you to read it.
Okay.
You'll see how unreliable lie detector tests are. Dr. Lycan said a polygraph operator can make a test come out any way they want it to. By slanting the questions they ask, by how they interpret what the machine scribes out.
You saying I'd fail again?
A lot of innocent people who take the test fail it. Lenell, Dr. Lycan saw you on TV. He told a reporter that as shy as you seem to be, and, you know, conservative in your lifestyle, you would be a natural victim of the polygraph.
Well, if I don't take the test, I go on trial again. They put a new DA on the case, and he told reporters he's got new evidence against me.
They will not get away with it twice. And if they do, I will still be waiting.
I don't want you to. You might not know me when I get out.
I know you now, and you haven't changed.
16 months is not 20 years. Don't marry me now, Marisa. Don't marry me unless I'm free.
Humphreys is here.
I don't know the man. I don't know where he's coming from.
Like we told you, he's a private investigator and wants to help out. Bowers will be with you guys.
How do I know he's not working for the other side?
The man says he's found a new witness for your side. The girl who was working at the taco place with Lester Cox on the night he said you held it up. Lenell, you gotta trust somebody sometime.
Mrs. Russ, real good of you to let us come see Terry. These gentlemen here are attorneys. How y'all?
How you do? How you do? Y'all want to sit down?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you, gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, now. Well, now, Terry, honey, as you know, we're interested in the night of August 20th, 1982. Do you remember anything about that night?
Sure. That was the night we got held up.
Uh-huh. And did you hide like the police said you did, or did you see the robber?
Well, both. I kind of ducked down, but I looked at him. He was a black guy, about 5'8". He had long hair and kind of scraggly chin whiskers.
I see. And did you give that description to the police?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I see. Well, now, Terry, honey, just for comparison, I'm going to ask this attorney here to stand up. And would you compare the robber and this gentleman for height?
The robber was a lot shorter.
Mm-hmm. And comparing their features, what would you say the difference would be?
Wait a little minute. I've seen pictures in the paper and on TV. Who'd you say this man is?
I was just about to tell you. This gentleman here is Lenell Jeter.
This is Lenell Jeter? This is the guy that Lester said was the holdup man?
Is there any possibility Mr. Jeter could have been the robber?
No way, Jose. No way.
Hello, this is Ann Lansing, Assistant DA, Harris County. I understand you're handling the Jeter prosecution now.
Yes, ma'am. Can I help you?
Well, Mr. Neal, we have a man named Martin in custody for a local robbery. He told our informant that he's the guy who did the Balch Springs robbery that Jeter was tried for.
Is that right? Has Martin admitted this to you?
No, he absolutely denies it. But he has a record of fast food robberies.
Any convictions?
2 convictions. And the police can tie Martin to an athletic bag which contained a long-barreled revolver, like the one used in Balch Springs. Maybe you'd like to come take a look at him.
We brought this man up from Houston, put him in the lineups yesterday and today, and showed him to the 5 eyewitnesses whose testimony got Jeter convicted. And 4 out of the 5 now identify Martin as the robber. We've got a lot stronger case on Martin than we did on Jeter. This office now believes Lenell Jeter did not commit the Balch Springs robbery, and the charge against Jeter will be dismissed.
Mr. Wade, what about the other charge against Jeter, the Taco Bell robbery?
We've located a 2nd eyewitness who does not identify Jeter as the robber. The charges will also be dismissed.
Mr. Wade, do you have any comment on miscarriage of justice in the Jeter case?
It was the duty of the police to fully investigate.
Engineering. Yeah. Lenell, telephone.
Thanks. Jeter?
Mr. Jeter, this is Ron Gordon of the Evening Standard. Do you know that you're a free man?
Pardon me, what was that?
Henry Wade just announced it in a press conference. He is dropping all charges.
Okay, you're joking, right? That's not true, is it?
Sure is true. Must be on the radio by now. Mr. Jeter, would you care to make a statement?
I had a prayer. Faith, that's all. It's unbelievable. I just want to give praise to God. Oh, Marisa, I'm free. I'm free.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you. Thanks, Charlie.
Lenell, do you take Marisa to be your lawful wedded wife, to love and to cherish her for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as you both shall live?
I do.
Marisa, do you take Lenell to be your lawful wedded husband, to love and to cherish him for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, as long as you both shall live?
I do.
Whom God hath joined together, let no one put asunder. I now pronounce you husband and wife.